what are the most underappreciated anime? Plus, what is going on in episode 11 of seasonal anime? And introducing a new segment, Is It Anime? All that and more on episode 9 of Dad-ime, Dad Anime Club, the show where three nerdy-ass dads try to reclaim our anime cred one season at a time. I'm your host, Dallin, the besto friendo, and with me, as always, are my
should have told me. I could have worn my besto friendo. Come on.
We've got the dungeon-crawling adventurer, Preston. And we've got the page sage, the manga maestro, Tyler. How's it going, boys?
Going great. It's been a day.
It's been a fun day. We actually were at the same event not that long ago. Funny, not really funny story, but the way that Tyler and I met is actually through our wives because they work together.
Yeah.
And you never know when you go to these like corporate events if you're going to find, cool people to hang out with. So I feel extremely lucky that my wife picked a cool friend who had a cool husband, which was Tyler. So we were able to just hit it off right.
I just want to note that so far, I don't know if we've said anything for Dallin, but perhaps here's some that we can try on for size before we jump in. We have the Shonen Seer, the Chapter Whisperer, the Frame Fiend, the Panel Prophet.
Ooh, the Panel Prophet sounds pretty sick.
Page Ronin.
Okay, I like that.
So we'll let those percolate and see if any of these...
We'll sprinkle them in
see if any of
from
them
time
stick.
to time.
Yeah,
so we were at a company barbecue, and summertime barbecues are exhausting. One, you're in the sun, it's like 95 degrees where we are. You're playing in the water, you're chasing your kids around, so it's never really that relaxing. But they had this like crazy, 30-foot water slide, maybe 30-foot water slide.
Yeah, and like it seemed scarier than it was, but like it was made for the adults, and gosh, there were little kids who were just let's go on that. Like,
Dallin, you need to cue the meme of the lady, she's holding her baby and she gets halfway down and it goes boom, like smacks his face on it, or the cock bouncing out the bottom of the...
Yeah, I waited until the very end. They had a little play place for littles, so Tyler's kid and my kid are about the same age, so they're playing together over there.
And my kid has like fear, like he has like real fear about the world, like he just is like terrified of everything. So that slide, he was like,
child,
yeah.
And so we saved it till the very end, but we're like, all right, boys, you want to go down the big slide? And so Tyler and I took him up, and you got to climb this ladder up. It's like 30 feet up. And at first I'm kind of letting my son do it, but he can't really grab the footholds very well. And he starts only climbing with his feet and kind of leaning up against me. And he's like knocking me off the ladder. I'm like, dude, you are going to shove me off. So I just kind of pick him up in one arm and kind of hobble up. I'm like, dude, I'm going to fall off of this thing.
And my kid, every like 5 steps, is like, I don't want to do this.
Like,
and I'm like, it's just...
himself up.
I'm like, we're already committed. Like, there's a line behind us. You're going.
Don't make me turn this around. Oh, yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah. He's like, he absolutely wants me to stop it. But like, he's the one who said he wanted to go. It's like, he's scared to try. And then once he jumps in, he's good. Like, I think if we were there for like another 30 minutes, he probably would have been like, let's do it again.
Yeah,
like he definitely gets scared, and then he like thinks about it, and he's like, I want to do that again.
Yeah, and my son, he just sees my daughter's just going on it over and over and over and over. So he's like, oh man, I want to go.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, you're just not quite
your
big
kids
enough,
ever
buddy.
do that where they're overconfident in their abilities, like, yeah, that looks great, and then they get on Puff the Magic Dragon at Lagoon with that stupid little dragon, and they're like, yeah, I got this, and then the first hump that goes over, they're like, this is horrible, get me off this, and they scream the rest of the way. And you're just like, come on, no.
So my kid has real fear, but he doesn't externalize his fear. It's all internal. So I put him on that roller coaster that you're talking about, and we go up, he goes around, and you can see in his face like, oh god. And he's like, how much longer? Because he does 3 trips, and so the second trip he's like, Dad,
Like,
and then the third trip,
okay, it's over, right? No, it's going again. Here we go.
yeah, the third trip, and he's like, oh my god, and then like 2 days later, he's like, can we do that again?
Oh man, when
Like-
my girls were really little, they were also terrified of rides, and we went to Lagoon, and they have this like little boat ride. It just kind of like ferries around in a circle, And as soon as it started going, so it straps him in, like it buckles down. But as soon as it started going, my daughter just stood up to get off. She's like, "Nope, I'm done with this," and somehow like wiggled her way out of the buckle and was like standing. And they hit the like emergency stop button and stopped the ride. And they're like, "You got to get her off." So I'm like, "Sorry."
Well, and I like that Lagoon has changed to be like parents help your kids more.
Yeah,
Like you get your kid off. Like it's a lot nicer that way.
yeah, yeah. Rather than some like
Some
15-year-old
stranger being like,
kid
"Hey,
just like
come here."
ripping your kid off the.
Yeah.
Get off the ride.
Well, because it
Oh.
creates so much like chance for risk, just so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, do you guys want to get into our main topic for this episode?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're talking about the most we could call it underrated, maybe underappreciated anime, because I think you can kind of take this two ways. Like underrated, sure, like maybe the score says it's a 7, but really you think it's a 9. But I also think just like anime that people aren't talking about enough, ones that you watch and you're like, dude, how is this not more popular? I think it kind of can fit into one of those two camps.
Are we saying like anime adjacent, or are we saying
Sure, if you want to throw
like,
anime
real
adjacent
anime?
in there, feel
Yeah.
free.
So like when I was talking to you guys about this segment, I was thinking about what animes have I watched in the past that like I still think about, but no one really ever talks about, right? So like something that's underappreciated, something people don't really talk about, that probably does have a cult following. I've got 2, but my first pick, my number 1 pick, had to be Afro Samurai. If you have ever watched Afro Samurai, the art is great, the characters are great, the storyline is great. It's not very long. So it's a binge-worthy anime, but it is solid. Samuel Jackson does the voice for the American dub. It's
That's
just
so cool.
It's beautiful. It's well done. It's in a desert landscape, so you get like a mix of like imagery you don't get to see, like this kind of like spaghetti western samurai. Like
Cool.
I love it.
awesome.
Yeah, I've never seen that one. It's definitely
Yeah.
on my list to watch, but I have not seen that one.
Choreography wise, it's cool. Like if you're just into choreography of movements, like they captured good movements in that one.
Nice. Yeah, you're selling me. It sounds awesome.
Preston, you got one?
Yeah, this one is one that I talked about last time, and now every time we play Elden Ring and we get to the last door and we open it, I think of this anime. And it's Little Nemo in Adventures in Slumberland, when he opens the key at the end, and then the door creaks open and he gets freaked out and he runs away, and then the nightmare hellish demon comes out and like completely wrecks the Slumberland. Yeah. So now every time we go in, I'm like, oh, it's the Night King.
Okay, so I haven't watched that. Can you just
You
give
gotta
me
watch
like
it.
can you give
You
me
gotta
like
watch
a
it.
plot?
Yeah,
Yes,
give
let me
me
give
a
you-
plot. I've never seen that either. It sounds awesome. And if
That
the
sounds
imagery is
terrifying.
night
I'm-
rain-
Like I can
I'm
see
gonna
my
credit-
3-year-old freaking out.
so I don't mess it up, and so I give it some the faithful that I know that there's probably maybe a cult following. I hope maybe it's just me. I don't know.
You're the one guy who watched it.
But this is on IMDb. It basically says each night young Nemo goes to Slumberland and has adventures. Basically, it's like him going and sleeping, and it's what do you call that? The spinning top syndrome, where you can't tell, was it a dream? Was it not a
like
Is
dream?
this like
Inception?
Inception?
It's like Inception, yeah.
Okay.
And so he goes and he befriends the king of Slumberland. Everything's nice in the very beginning. The guy's name's Morpheus. And then one night Nemo discovers that Nightmare Land, it's an evil nightmare king, or has an evil nightmare king, and he's throwing all of Slumberland into chaos. So basically, like those are the powers that are fighting, and that one's been locked away, but he unlocks the door unwillingly, and now Nightmare Land is taking over Slumberland.
Ooh, that sounds
Wow.
kind of cool.
And it's also partly where I get my online Fuzzy Squirrel game name. So
Oh,
because he has a
okay.
flying squirrel friend.
there you go.
Dude, this sounds like something to
Deep lore.
watch.
Deep lore.
Yeah, I'm adding it to the list. It's what was it called again? One more time.
Little Nemo Adventures in Slumberland.
Little Nemo Adventures in Slumberland. Sounds cool.
Directors
I'm
is
writing it down.
Masami Hata and William T. Hertz.
All right, for my pick, one of my picks. So this one came out, I think, 2 years ago, 1 or 2 years ago. So it's fairly recent, but really nobody watched it, and I think it's because it happened to go in that like weird like Disney hellhole where it gets like locked behind Hulu and whatever in their partnership. So it wasn't on Crunchyroll, it wasn't on Netflix, which for the world of anime just kills an anime if it's not like readily available to the weebs. And it was called Heavenly Delusion. and it was just a straight up 10 out of 10 show. Like if you like The Last of Us, if you like anything
Mm.
like dystopian, like the world has ended, how are people still surviving kind of story, it fits right in there. It's really weird in like a sci-fi kind of way. Like there's a lot of stuff going on where you're like, are these people creatures? Are the like it's telling two stories at the same time, and so you're kind of trying to figure out, is this one the past and this one the future, or is this are they going on at the same time?
That's
And there's
cool.
kind of hints kind of as it goes, and the story sort of peels back a little at a time. But man, it has some of the coolest animation, some of the coolest fight scenes. The monsters are really sick, and it has a couple episodes that just gut punch you real hard.
Dude,
So
that sounds
Heavenly
awesome.
Delusion.
I feel like you just gave me
Adding that
some
one
for
as well.
my watch list. Like,
Yeah. Check,
I got
please.
2 now. Uh, dang, because I'm like gonna pull a classic out and be like, a Rooney Kenshin was like, this is my hot topic one, because like we like, if you've been paying attention, like a Rooney Kenshin like it's like in the 90s or like early 2000s was really on a rise, and they just did a remake in 2023. But with that remake came up like a lot of news about the artist for it,
Right.
and his involvement with inappropriate imagery. Uh, so the question has become like, should you give money to that anime, right? But I do think that like I've always loved that anime, and anyone who's ever watched it has given it's got praise for a reason. So like, if you don't want to give money to that, don't like. But it's pretty good. It's a good anime. If you don't
Yeah,
care.
it's that like weird kind of topic. Like you kind of hit the same stuff when you talk about like Harry Potter these days
Uh-huh.
anymore. It's like, can you really separate art from artists?
Yep.
Like, should you separate art from artists? Like, technically, if they're that person like doing those things, that might have influenced the art that they created. So there's like kind of a lot of gray area with this, and I think it's it's a person to person sort of decision. I don't think
Yeah.
there's like a
Yeah.
correct answer.
Like I don't
Make a decision that fits your moral compass. Mm.
Yeah.
like I like to think about it like this. I Meg had never watched Dogma, the movie that Kevin Smith made, and it's
Mm.
owned by Harvey Weinstein. Which, if you guys know anything about Harvey Weinstein, he gets arrested for sexual assault and put into jail, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like trying to find Dogma, can't find it anywhere. And I don't mind buying or renting it off of like YouTube or something just to watch it one time. And my Meg's like, "Well, are you going to give him money?" I'm like, "I'm going to give a man money who's in prison." Like he can't spend it. Like that doesn't bug me. Like,
Yeah.
but
You
if
buy
it
those
bugged,
commissary
yeah,
cigarettes, you know?
yeah, like he's in prison. But like if they were out and about in the world, I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
not going to give them money. Like
No,
I think you kind of have to have your line in the sand.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the hard part too, is because again, like just because that person directed it, there were other people that were worked on those films, that worked on those games,
Okay.
they worked on those, the editors and things. You're
Yeah.
also punishing them, right?
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
that's the other thing for me. I know ignorance is not a defense in any way, shape, or form. And this is partly why I'm like, I don't know if people watch this or not. I don't know if it's because I like it and I watched it, like it's cool. But yeah, in that case, like if I ever watch something and I'm like, hey, this is really great, this is really great, I can't believe you watched that. Like you watched that and you supported that person. I was like, I didn't know. I enjoyed
But
it.
you
I'm
are.
sorry.
I like the way you said it. Like you're supporting the community. There's a
Yeah.
community that makes these things. Like it's not just one person, right?
And yes, that person, hopefully they get their just desserts, and hopefully it makes it completely aware that they're a dirtbag, whatever. But I want to support the other people too, because
Yeah.
I love the art that they make.
Yeah, for sure. And
So that was my
with-
hot topic under
Good hot
one.
topic.
Yeah,
I like
with,
it.
with Rurouni Kenshin, I have to imagine that the original is better. I tried the new series and I thought it was okay. I would give it maybe like a 7. Like it was interesting, but I couldn't help but feeling the whole time like this is sort of a product of its time, and I might as well just go watch the original instead of this version of it.
And you still have like the made for TV kind of like breaks in there for Rurouni Kenshin, but I
Yeah.
think like I just remember being enthralled by like there's this guy with a giant sword. There's like you got your reverse blade samurai, like everything, and it was all just like right in this like crazy era, and it was just it's a good opening for anime for me. It's just one of the first ones I really latched on. I love swords, if you didn't know. Like swords are like my thing. I love them.
Yeah, that one dude, he basically has like guts, like Dragon Slayer sword
Yeah.
in that show. It's
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
And then
Alan
there's
knows-
that villain who's like his sword, because it's been covered in the fat of so many enemies he's killed or whatever, it just like auto ignites.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yes.
really cool too.
You'll Tyler, if Dallin hasn't already narked on me, you'll have to ask him about our anime experience in swords. So
I have to ask you.
Oh,
I
You guys have to tell me this.
all right. I'm gonna rat on Preston.
Yeah.
So we went to an anime con 2 years ago, maybe.
2 years ago. And mind you, at this point in time, I was working 3 jobs, and so there was a little extra money to make this okay. But go ahead.
And you're supporting local artists.
And I
so-
have no self-control.
So we go down to like the convention hall where like all the vendors are, right? And at this anime con, to be fair, there was a lot of stuff I had not seen at like
I agree.
Fan X or any of the other ones. Like it was a lot smaller. It felt almost like a traveling circus. Like it felt like these guys all just kind of like moved together. It was like they popped up their tents and then they moved to the next place kind of thing. But we come across this one. They had like a manga
older guy.
library first, and so we're walking through the manga library, and all of a sudden Preston's like, I'm like, what? He's like, pointing, he's like, look, and it's just like a wall of swords.
Not just a wall. It was like you walked in and so let's go over here on this wall. Yeah, there was like Narsil over here. He had like Sting over here. He had Witcher's blade over here. They had like the whatever Gromhell screams axes, like
Yeah,
anything you could
master
think
sword,
of, they had it. And I was just like, oh my gosh.
And so
not only that,
Preston's just like
guy-
loading me up. He's
I'm like, hey Dal,
I'm
Hey, Dad, I know
out
you
to
were-
his car with like
I know.
4 different swords.
I know you were gone for like 5 minutes, but can you help me carry this to my car? And just like that axe on the wall weighs by itself like 20 pounds, 25
Oh,
pounds.
gosh.
Like it's heavy. So we're both going out there like, like
Just
I'm really
carrying
sorry.
these
I didn't mean
boxes
to.
of swords.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'll have to show him sometime.
Well, and like every time I go to like Comic Con
swords.
and like I see like the Kratos God of War axe, or I see like Ichigo's like Bankai sword, I'm always like I really want to get it, and then I'm like I don't have any room for that.
Don't whatever you do, don't bring me with you because I will. I am that wingman that'll be like, yeah, do it. Like, let's go. Like, you know, I'm like, hey, you guys don't need to eat tomorrow. You don't need to eat next week. Like, just
Yeah.
ramen. Let's go.
Like if anything, I need to get my wife like Narsil or like the Urukai sword, like the like just the rough metal sword.
That'd be so cool.
Dude, yeah, it was so hard for me to not, because like I've got Narsil, so I'm like, it's like, dude,
Like, Dallin, do it.
it took
If
a lot of
any consolation, it is not screen accurate. The more I look at it, so
all right,
you can get a different one.
all right,
It's animation; they change a little bit.
yeah.
It's not screen accurate.
Okay, so you got Rurouni Kenshin. Preston, what do you got for pick number 2?
So the other one that I had, and this is again, I'm going to say it, saying that in my mind, I haven't heard anybody talking about it, but it could be something that's on the internet. So blame me in the comments if that's the case. But Erased was one that I really liked from a little while back. It was the premise is essentially that there's a man that in his childhood, there was this tragedy and this girl went missing and just disappeared. No one knew what happened. And one day he kind of like snaps back into his childhood, essentially. Like he's an adult man. And he's like, he has all the functions and thoughts that he had then. But now he's back to like a couple weeks before this girl went missing. And then he kind of befriends her and is trying to unravel the mystery around like why she disappeared and like finding the abuse in her house and finding like just all these different things. And it's just a cool, like, I don't know. I enjoyed it. It was a cool anime.
Do you know what I was doing? I was betting on my head that you were going to say Violet Evergarden again.
Yes, that was also really good. But I know people like that one.
Yeah, but Erased is one that it's been on like my to be watched
watch
for a while. Like it's been like it gets moved down periodically, but like it's on there. It's like that one's interesting. I should
It's good if
probably
you like
just pick it up.
suspense, or not like suspense, but like mysteries or suspense, like where it's just kind of like, oh, I don't know where this is going, and you just kind of along for the ride. It's not super like intense, not super dramatic. But it was enjoyable. I think you'd like it.
It's good.
Nice, very good. Yeah, that one's also on my to be watched list. it's kind of the same thing as Tyler. Like it just slowly gets kind of bumped down. Like I think my to be watch list is like 5 times larger than my actually watched list.
I mean,
So
it's like all of our Steam libraries that are
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
every time a
absolutely.
Steam sale comes up.
Let's see. I picked like 6 shows. So let me go with an old OVA. So for my next pick, it's called Gunnm, and it's basically it's Alita Battle Angel. They did an OVA for this. I want to say in the 80s. It's free on YouTube if you want to watch it. It's like an hour and a half, and it's basically the first couple volumes of Alita Battle Angel, and it just kind of sells that world to you. They did a Hollywood movie of it not that long ago. That's where the first time I'd ever heard about it.
And I love that. That was
kind of
good.
new to the whole anime scene, newish, 6 years. I guess that's not as new as I think it is, but
I
whatever.
mean, in
It
terms of
feels
like
new.
millennials, like
Feels
who had
new.
cable.
Yeah.
Were born in the 90s, the 1900s.
But man, it's really good for what it is, and those like old school OVAs just hit hard. I love the way that they're animated, so that's a
I agree.
cool one to check out if you're interested in the Alita Battle Angel
Just Alita,
series
yeah.
and all.
So
So
if you're wanting like that little like, I want to get dropped into it. What would you suggest? Would you go into the anime first, or would you go watch the Hollywood cinema first and then go back?
I wouldn't do
Which
the
would you
Hollywood
prefer?
version of it. Like it was like I enjoyed it, but I didn't know better. Like I didn't know that the source
But it's
material
better.
was
Okay,
that
that's
much
good
better.
to know because I'm in that boat. I watched that one first, and I haven't watched the anime yet.
The
Okay.
manga, I would say, I went and after watching Gundam, I was like, okay, I got to go check this out. And I read the first, I don't know, 2, 3, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's pretty good. So I would say
Good.
if you want the best experience, probably read the manga. If you want the second best experience, go watch the OVA.
Rurouni Kenshin, Gun M, what was the other one we have on our list? Those are the two that I'm added to my
Heavenly
list.
Delusion. I
Heavenly
think
Delusions. That's
yeah.
the other one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then like Nemo, that one.
Yeah.
Little, yeah, that one sounds fun.
You guys got
Um,
any others
Just
in
expect
the chamber?
it is not it's not anywhere near Night Rain. Like it's light, fluffy, happy, and sometimes dark. So don't expect.
Yeah, it sounds like a cool premise. So I was asking my little brother just like what kind of animes would you consider like underrated, and he just kept coming up with things. I was like, okay, no, those are pretty popular. Those are pretty popular. So I started looking into a list. Like I was pulling up lists, and one that kept coming up, and I was like, gosh, I swear I've seen it, and I have seen it. It's called Wolf Rain, and I remember it now because I went and watched a trailer for it. Like I found like a really old trailer for it, and I used to be like a broody emo teenager sitting in my bedroom drawing this actual anime. I would draw the wolves because I liked the art style, and so like I would go find anime pictures of these wolves and I would try to draw them because there's a white wolf and I think a black wolf in this.
Wolf's
But
Rain. Is that the one?
what one?
Wolf's Rain.
Yeah,
Is that the
Wolf's
one?
Rain.
Cool.
And so it's like I would watch this, but it basically the plot is I'll just read. This is from Wikipedia, so it's not really me. According to an old legend, when the end of the world comes, a place known as Paradise will appear. However, only wolves will know how to find it. Although wolves are believed to have been hunted to extinction nearly 200 years ago, they still exist, surviving by casting illusions over themselves to make themselves appear human. Freeze City is a northern human city in Russia, in the world where the majority of people live in poverty and hardship. And so there's this
cool.
story about Kiba, this white wolf, and he's in Free City, and
Kiba.
like it's got really cool animation. It's really it's a winter anime, like hands down.
Isn't
Nice.
the beyond not beyond the boundary your end isn't there I haven't watched that one either, but that's what gives me the vibes of that because
To Your Eternity.
that's the one, To Your Eternity.
hmm
It kind
And
of gives me
then
those vibes.
the other one that has made it to the top of my to be watch list is one that I have seen 100 times. And after this conversation, I was like, well, I have to watch this now. And it's Mushishi.
Yeah.
I've
Mushishi.
seen that one.
I haven't watched it all
some
the
good
way
ones.
through. I've watched a couple episodes, but I think this is what sort of the Demon Hunter is trying to be.
Yeah. And so like that's the one that I've been like I'm really interested in. For those people who haven't heard of it, This is the Crunchyroll plot description. They are creatures only known as Mushi, whose abilities range well into the supernatural. While their existence and appearance are unknown to the humans around them, there are a few, like Genko, who is a Mushi-shi, that travels around to investigate to find out more about the Mushi. During the course of his discovery and understanding, he helps those who've been troubled by the Mushi themselves. So I think it's an anthology, so you get to watch like just kind of episodically like what's going on. I'm very interested in that one. It's got high reviews all over the place. I don't see people talking about it enough, so I feel like that would be an honorable mention for a underrated anime.
That one came out in 2005. Is that what I'm seeing here?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Which
That's
is
the right
crazy.
one?
That's 20 years old.
That's
And that's why
crazy.
I think that's why nobody's talking about it anymore. Like,
It
it's
has
just
an
kind of-
OVA. So
okay.
Oh,
There
okay.
you go. So you can watch that. Okay, I've got two more that I can hit on.
Okay.
Well, actually, I've got like four more, but I'll narrow it down to two. So, we'll go honorable mention. It's called Link Click, and
Okay.
it's not that it isn't popular. I just don't see a ton of people talking about it. It's a donghua, which I think is why maybe it's kind of not talked about as much. But it's so freaking cool. It's these two guys who, it doesn't really explain the story, but they have this ability to, one guy can see into the past and the other guy can clap his hands and jump into a photo. And then the other guy kind of guides him through the past. And so they set up like this agency in a photo studio where they can be like, someone will be like, oh, I never confessed my feelings to this girl. And they'll be like, okay, cool, we got it for you. And they'll jump back into the photo back in time and like nudge
That's
the guy
cool.
to confess their feelings and then come back out. But they have rules of like, okay, we can't, like there's the butterfly effect,
Butterfly
right? Like we
effect.
can't affect too much. We can do small changes, but there's like hard points in time that we cannot change no matter what we do. And so season
that rule
one
gets
is,
broken.
Absolutely. So season one is more about just kind of like exploring the powers and how it works, and it's kind of almost episodic. But then season two just flips on its
Flips
head,
on.
and it is a crime thriller. There's this bad guy jumping through time. The police are involved. It's so much more brutal and violent. There's like a serial killer on the loose who can kill people without them like even like knowing what's going on. It's wild. It had me
Yeah,
gripped,
that's
and
cool.
plus the opening and exit music on both seasons are just absolute fire.
Funny.
I got
So
a new.
that
I
one's
got a
solid.
long list.
I know, right? Like I've got 1, 2, 3,
I'm
4, 5,
hooked.
6
Yeah.
tabs open ready.
It's really cool. What's weird about it is the character names. If you watch it in English, they like kind of simplified it, so it's like Luke and I can't remember the other guy's name. But in Chinese, it's like Lu Guang and something else. So it's like
I really
Zhang-
don't like
Zhang
that they do
Shaoxi.
that.
Deng Xiaoxi.
yeah, and they change the names. It's like Luke and Steve or something like that. I'm like, oh, just
Well,
stick with
so-
the names.
I think this is also like such an American thing. Like I've met so many people who have a hard time saying like Spanish names and English and like Arabic names and stuff.
Yeah.
And like I teach kids who don't speak English sometimes, and they'll give me like, my name's Lucy, and I'm like, this piece of
Yeah,
paper
no,
doesn't
it's
say
not.
your name's Lucy.
Yeah.
Like she's like, it's easier for you to say, and I'm like, I will learn how to say your name. Like I had a girl who had an Aztec name. It was Coatlicue. It took me a long time to figure out how to say Coatlicue with like clicks in my mouth. So, but like I spent like 2 hours trying to figure out how to say it. But like I don't know if everyone's gonna do that. Like,
Yeah.
But I'll learn how to say a
Feel for
name.
Well, and it's
Yeah,
like
no problem.
it's just the only like just put it in the subtitles or something.
Yeah.
Like if it's not that bad, like
Yep.
we'll figure it out. Like
Well, and
they
I'll
kinda
do what I
treat-
always
treat you
do.
Like you're dumb a little bit. So
Yeah, like when I'm playing, like when I was watching Naruto when I was younger, I'd be like Madara, like when Madara's name would come up.
Look, it's
Yeah, like that's what I would do in my brain. But then like people would be like, "It's Madara." I'm like, "Yeah, that guy."
Yeah, it's look, there's Orbeez. No,
Yeah.
it's Obito or
Yeah.
whatever. No,
But I was just reading it. Like,
or
it was
but
only in my head at that time.
this is also why I never read things out loud as a kid, because that was exactly when it was like, dude, yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, well, did you read the part where Harry Potter did this? And yeah, and did you hear when Harrimon did this? And they're like, Harrimon? And they're like,
who are
Who's
you?
Harriman? And they're like, it's Hermione. And they're like,
I did the same thing. I always thought
Like-
it was Cyrus Black, not Sirius Black.
yeah, yeah.
And so I always
Cyrus-
called him Cyrus Black, and then the movie came out, and everyone's like, "You're dumb," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." It was like,
Yep.
screw me. I guess.
The worst is like Stormlight Archives. I was like Kaladin,
yeah.
Dal blah blah blah.
Shalon. Is it Shalon or Shalon?
Yeah.
Even the narrator
Shalon.
in the first book couldn't decide. She changed
Yeah.
back and forth like 7
Mhm.
times.
And I would just kind of go shalalala like in my head and just keep
Shalili.
reading.
Is it
Yeah.
is it Yasna or Jasna?
Yeah.
Right. Jif or Yif.
Yeah. And so like when I'm doing anime and I used to like watch it on my laptop or like I'd watch it on my phone and be muted because my dad would be like, I'm watching football. So I'm like reading the subtitles and I'm just like, okay, blah 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 did this, and I'm like, cool. Like I know their names.
I love that.
Yeah. Okay, and then my actual pick, so my non honorable mention, is a show. It is pretty popular, but again, I just don't see that many people talking about it. It's called Odd Taxi. It came out a few years back, and man, this one is solid. This could be a Hollywood adaptation. It's written in a way that it's just straight off like a script. And basically what it is it's a taxi driver who gets involved in a mob style like plot, and he's accidentally wrapped up into this larger plot, and he's just trying to live his life being a taxi driver.
Dude,
But what
what
makes the
is
show-
this?
But what makes the show really good is the, I don't want to spoil it, but all the characters are anthropomorphic animals. So
Yeah,
the taxi driver is a
He's
walrus.
a walrus.
And like one of the main characters is a gorilla, and another main character is like a sheep or a llama or whatever. And
Dude, it's
so-
like BoJack Horseman for anime. Like what?
but there is a reason why they all are animals, and I don't want to spoil anything because it's worth
Dude,
the
but like
watch.
I'm looking at the animation right now and I'm seeing so many tropes just by looking at just some photos. Like this is ridiculous.
I think it's only 13 episodes, and it's a complete like finish and close story. So it's like watch it in over a weekend.
Tomorrow is a day off.
Yeah.
At least for anyone who's celebrating. It's like,
Yes.
yep, let's do it.
Oh my gosh, that
if
is
you, If
insane.
you want to cruise through an awesome show that is kind of like a more adult story, it's this mob story, but it feels a little bit lighthearted because they're anthropomorphic.
Yeah.
Like it's not quite as
It's cool.
heavy. That one was really good. It
was a dark and windy night.
It's a 10 out of 10 for me.
That's awesome, dude.
Heck, dude.
I think that animation style really gets ignored because like I think like what's Shinshin and like a bunch of other ones that have like really unique animation styles get ignored.
It's like
Yeah.
Mob Psycho. I almost didn't watch Mob Psycho, and I almost didn't watch One Punch Man because I was like,
Oh, dude,
Yeah, Mob Psycho
One Punch
has
Man
a
is-
really weird one.
One Punch Man is so great. Like I've been saving it because I know that like I'm like really far behind, but I'm like I know once I start watching it again that I'm gonna just like binge
Yeah.
it. I love One Punch Man. I think it's so funny.
Absolutely. So yeah, I agree with you. I think those kind of weirder animation styles get slept on a little bit. I think they can tell unique stories with that style, and that's one of the reasons why I actually really like Don from last season, because it is that sort of weird style you don't see as much, but it helps add to a story sometimes in
Does.
such a cool way.
does. And I wouldn't have picked up on it. This was one of the ones that so Dallin, with one of the reviews he was doing for Don, and this was, I've told this before when I went and watched DDD Destruction instead, but once I watched Don, I was picking up, I wouldn't have picked it up before, but like noticing the camera angles and like noticing how they use uncomfortable things to make you feel uncomfortable. Like it's very thoughtful. And I think that to your point, like if it's when it gets shied away from in certain places, it's probably because of that, where like, hey, if we did this all the time for everything, people are going to like, well, I don't know, I'm not going to give it a chance. But once you give it a chance, you're like, dude, I wish every anime had this kind of like attention to detail.
Yeah,
Dude,
absolutely.
like when you're saying like Don is like doing uncomfortable things, I think about that first episode with the granny, and like it was only uncomfortable. Like
Oh yeah.
yeah, and then the next episode is still uncomfortable, but it's not nearly as much. But it still got me on the edge of my seat.
And the
so-
camera angles and like the fisheye lens and like
Yeah.
Yeah.
cool.
Well, and
Yeah.
I like it when this is one I was thinking about. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I don't think enough people talk about Zom 100, the bucket list of
Zom
the
100,
dead.
yeah. I agree.
I have
It's
thoughts.
just
I'll let
awesome.
you go and then
Go ahead.
No,
I really think it's a good, it's a solid anime. I wouldn't say it does anything fantastic or new, but it's enjoyable to watch. I love the discoloration of blood, especially when you get to the aquarium scene with the shark. That's when it gets
Yeah.
like really, really cool, and it's just fun. And I actually that was one that Meg watched with me when she was first getting into anime, and she really liked it. So like Zom 100 is great.
Nice.
So it's a good one.
What you got, Panel Priest?
Okay.
That doesn't work. Throw that one out.
So
Try it
I
again.
feel like I really enjoyed Zom 100, the very first episode especially. But I think
Yeah.
it's because it had that full hour long episode, and it told basically an arc in one episode.
Mhm.
And then I feel like as that show went on, it sort of progressively lost its steam.
Yeah.
And it got hit with some weird productions issues too, where they were like, oh, by the way, we're not going to have episodes for like 3 weeks. And I'm like, how? Like, they're a brand new studio. So I know like maybe they just bit off more than they could chew.
Yeah.
But it just like, it took all the like wind out of the sails for that show for me, where I was just like, ah. And then it just felt like once they got to the point where they like found his boss again, and he like was like reverting back, I was like, no, this isn't the story. This isn't what I want. I liked the path it was going before that.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. The discoloration of blood, especially that aquarium scene, was so good. That was
And I
awesome.
think it's relatable too. As sad as that is, not that, well, Alan knows my backstory as well as his backstory. Like, I identified with this individual very much so. Like,
Well, and like
So-
even me, like as a school teacher, like there are times where I feel like I'm just working constantly.
Yeah.
Like, and your mom was
And,
a
like,
school teacher down, like
color goes out of your face. You're just like, everything just is drab.
Your eyes
yeah.
are just
So like, yeah. So like I remember like waking up really early, going to school early, getting everything set up, coming home from school, like doing my home thing, going downstairs into the basement, shutting the door, grading all night, like, and then going to bed, waking up and doing it again.
Yeah.
I hate those days, and I could totally like when Zom 100 came out, I'm like, I get it. Like I want to make a bucket list now. So I think it's a really good underrated anime.
Yep.
Yeah.
I hope that when I hit that zombie apocalypse, that there's splashes of like rainbow too, because that was my
I'm
favorite.
free. All it took was the world ending.
I just had to lose my mind.
I think all of us are kind of like millennials, especially. We're just like, I actually want the end of the world to come, because then I can finally not have all these freaking responsibilities and stuff, and I can just enjoy my life.
You're just
Sounds
in a
like
cabin with a crossbow, just going, it's over.
Yeah, we fantasize about that zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, I'm tired of living through these historic events, Grandpa.
And I know that's true because of all of the like fake homesteaders on like Instagram and stuff like that. They're like, look, I grow my tomatoes in a box, and you're like, whoa, you're in touch with nature. Like,
Woo!
you're doing it. You're living
Yeah.
off the land. Like, it's so funny. Okay, so any other underrated, underappreciated ones you want to throw out there, or do you feel like we're good to move on?
I'm gonna throw this one out there as this was a young Preston watch, not a current Preston watch, and so it probably should die in the past. But the Ronin, what was it, the Ronin Warriors on Toonami? I think it
I
was.
watched so much Tsunami.
Ronin Warriors. It was basically like if you ever played the game, it was like Final Fantasy Dragoon, Legend of Dragoon. If you ever played
okay.
Legend of Dragoon, it to me like visually felt very similar to that, but it was an animation. And so if you took Power Rangers and Legend of Dragoon and put them together, that's kind of what
Dude,
it is.
this is crazy.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
His armor set is like insane.
Insane. Yeah. But
And
it's
there's
very
like
much that.
posters that say best friends.
Yeah.
Dude,
So,
these are like
I'm
Power
afraid to
Rangers.
watch-
These are Power Rangers with real weapons. Like he has like a glaive,
One of
katana,
them has a
double
Nodachi.
katanas, like
Yeah.
bow and
This is where-
arrow. Like
This is
they're
when
just-
we're like, I'm afraid to watch it again because right now in my past I was like, dude, that was badass. Like that was pretty cool.
That's
But
like
then if I watch it again, I'm gonna be like, oh, this is bad. Like
so I have one that sits in the back of my head. It's Mare, M-A-R.
Mare, okay.
And it's like I'm like that's the one that I like think about. Like maybe don't ever go back and watch it. It's better living in my head. because it's probably not nearly as good. He has like a toy that turns into a
Oh, yeah,
giant
yeah.
spike ball, and it's like he hits people with it.
Yes.
It's insane.
Monster
But it's like
Rancher.
one of the ones I don't ever want to go back to because it's like it's better in my head.
Yeah, just leave it locked up in
Just
that
leave it
there.
special box.
Mhm.
What I did with
Yeah.
the Final Fantasy VII. I pulled it out, played it, and I was like, that was a bad idea. Like, I remembered it being much higher definition in my head.
Oh, dude, I've done that. God of War 1. God of War 1. When I picked that game up again, I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, this is ugly. But at the same time, my brain started to fill in those gaps real quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man, yeah. I tried to go back and play. What's that one? Where is Banjo Kazooie where you have like the bird?
Yeah, the bird. Yeah,
And man, the
Banjo.
graphics were so bad that I couldn't control the game. Like I kept running into walls because like, is this a path or is this a mountain? Like I can't see like what the hell is going on. So it
Yeah,
was,
because
like, the
your brain
controls
now is
fight
like
you.
open world, and now you're running into the constraints of the past.
Yeah. So I just kept dying, and I blame it on the graphics, not on the fact that I'm bad at playing games.
Yeah, or
It's
playing
the physics.
yeah.
It's the physics of sliding every time you try to start running and stop. Like in
Can't tell
Mario
you how
64.
often Diddy Kong Racing, how often I would get blisters on my thumb from the
Oh,
N64 from like
Dude,
Oh my
old
God.
school Smash Bros. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, I would just sit there and like mash those buttons.
Mario
to the point,
Party.
like,
You'd
I'd
have all your friends
blisters.
over, and you're like, dude, don't break my joystick. And they're like, trying to do or pushing the buttons as fast as they can.
Yeah, you're getting like this.
You had that one friend that knew how to like curl up into his ball and be like, all right, I got this perfect position to absolutely dominate this game. And
It's Mario Party, dude. Calm down.
I know.
Sure.
Not committed.
Any others you want to hit?
I have none.
Okay.
Like, underrated animes come up here and there, and then you just kind of go like, "That was amazing. Why aren't people talking about it?" And I think it is just there's like so much you can watch.
Saturation.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, most of the underrated ones I think are mostly just because they got buried in a season where maybe a couple other shows were a little more hyped that year, and then so it kind of just becomes show number 4 or show number 5, and then over 5-10 years people don't remember them.
Well,
which
and
is
then
unfortunate, 'cause there's
I
some
also
great
think
ones.
it's a little bit like I think like if you think about like Star Wars, like if you watch Star Wars like the original series for like when it was made, it's freaking amazing. Right? But when you watch it for like cinematography today, it doesn't always do super great. But it's
Yeah.
still amazing, right? But when
Yeah,
you
there's,
look
like, a
at it
few
with it,
shots,
yeah.
and you're like, oh, the twin sons, like that'll stand the test of time forever. But
Mhm.
Luke being like, I want to go to the Tachi station and get power converters. You're like, okay, maybe leave that in the 70s.
But like I mean like it all had a place, and I think in a modern era they could do it again and it would still look great. But like I think like it stands the test of time because we also look at it and go, that's amazing for being one of the first things to do that. So like
Yeah.
when you see an anime that's really, really good, and sometimes it's taking a huge risk, like Link Click, the way you made it sound like they took a big risk on writing that story like that, because that's a hard story to write. Like this stuff from like they have powers, you have to like make it believable, you have to make it thrilling, you got to make the like little episodics like super engaging. So
You don't want to explain it not enough that people are like, I have no idea what's going on, but you don't
Yeah.
want to over-explain to where they're feeling like,
What's the point of even watching this?
this feels a little two-handed fist.
For sure. Okay, you guys ready to move on to the next topic? It's our new topic. Tyler suggested we do this weekly, and so
That's
we're
right.
gonna do a new weekly segment called "Is It Anime?" And
Is it
for our
anime?
first episode, yeah, we need a little like
Jingle.
little jingle for
Should I open it or should I keep it sealed?
"Is It Anime?" Ba-bum-bum.
I don't want to make people's
So-
ears bleed.
So for this week, we're going to talk about Samurai Jack. Do we think Samurai Jack
Samurai.
is anime?
Uh,
And Tyler, since this is your topic, why don't you lead us off?
So like I was thinking I was asking my little brother like, hey, what is an underrated anime? And he's like, well, Avatar's not underrated. He's like, is Samurai Jack underrated? And I'm like, is that an anime? Like and like it has
What
a lot
makes
of
anime?
so like if you've never watched Samurai Jack, it appears on Cartoon Network, right? And it's about a samurai who's fighting an ancient Japanese demon named Aku, and Aku sends Samurai Jack to the future, 50 years into the future, where Aku has supreme control over the land and everything. And it's Samurai Jack's journey to defeat Aku and return to the past. That is like literally, I just quoted the intro. I have not watched Samurai Jack in like 10 years, but I just quoted the 7 years.
Jack.
Yeah. And then when I bought my house, this adult version of Samurai Jack came out, or like a more adult version. It
when he's
wrapped the
grown,
series.
right?
Well, he had been in the future for like 70 years at this point, or 50
This is
years
when
at
he's
this
old,
point.
right?
But he's not aging.
a
Aku
remake?
took him out of his time, and he put him, and he's not aging, and so he's losing his mind a little bit, like trying to deal with Aku's world, and he can't get to Aku, he can't find him, like, and he can't go back, and like the story about him returning home is just so freaking awesome. And if you watch Samurai Jack, it has got such anime moments, like Samurai Jack's running across the field and he cuts through a monster, and it's a metal monster, but it's still got the blood splatter. And like if I had to rank it, I'm gonna rank it out of Dragon Balls. Like, is it all 7 Dragon Balls for an anime? No. But is it 5 out of 7?
Your scale is like 1 Dragon Ball is like, this is purely an American product. 7
Yeah.
Dragon Balls is, this is straight up Japanese anime.
Yeah,
blink
but I'm
it,
gonna
blink
give
it,
it I'm gonna
blink
give it a 5. It's almost there.
Yeah,
Like,
5.
like it's almost there. It's like
Has
you're
the tropes.
yeah,
like-
it's got it.
I think the thing that, and I guess that just depends on where people get technical in saying, okay, was it made in Japan? Is it Japanese anime versus like cartoon? It was made in.
Yeah,
I would say
it's
the
definitely
same.
an American.
It's like a 6
show,
or it's
right?
like a 5 or a 6 for me. But just because of that, where I don't know that it ever came out in Japanese, did it? Like originally, it came out in English.
Yeah,
that
it
accurate?
was made
Yeah.
in America. It's I never know how to say
I
this
think
guy's
that's the
name.
reason why.
I always screw it up, but it's like Gendy Tartakovsky or whatever. He's done a bunch of like things that you would recognize. Let me see if I can find like his total list of stuff. Like he's done. Let me see if I can find his.
Like more that cut
television.
paper
He's
style.
done Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's
Yes,
Laboratory, Samurai Jack. He worked on some episodes of Clone Wars. He did a show called Primal. So
Clone Wars,
he's
yeah.
done like a lot of shows you would recognize in American television.
And so like if you ask me, is Powerpuff Girls a anime, I would probably say no. Like I'd give it like
How many Dragon Balls?
3 Dragon Balls from Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah.
But even with Mojo Jojo, like
Mojo Jojo.
yeah, but like I feel like Samurai Jack almost bridges that, and maybe it's because it's a guy out of samurai. Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
And he wears.
I think it bridges the thing that for me that bridges it is, and it makes it okay, is because Toonami was the majority of the places that I was introduced into what I would consider like purist anime, right?
Mhm.
And so I think for just having that pedigree alone, I'd give them a 3.5 or a 5 out of 7, or sorry, 4 out of 7 for Powerpuff Girls. Just because again, it's in there and it has some of those weird tropes, but it is very cartoony.
I think if you compare it to stuff today, it's harder to make the sell. But if you compare it to what was going on when that show came out, so I'm thinking like I didn't watch Samurai Jack that much because I didn't have cable as a kid, so I kind of just watched it when I could. But I remember enjoying the crap out of it, and so I'm thinking of like all the shows I watched at that time in my life, like Pokemon, Sailor Moon, that. I would not be able to tell you at that age which one of those was an anime. They all to me were like just a product of the time. So
I might have just called them cartoons, but that's just because I didn't know what anime was.
But see, like
Right?
this begs the question, and maybe we can answer it next time, because I'm giving Samurai Jack 5 Dragon Balls. But if you pick Batman the Animated Series, the Justice League, Green Lantern, like there was series out there that are American animation cartoons that are very close, and I think that we'll have to figure out how many Dragon Balls they get next time, because
Just because I'm sour about this DC.
But I mean, like I watched so many cartoons growing up, and like
Agreed.
you're right. Like Samurai Jack for me is like
Spider-Man.
it's anime adjacent.
yeah, and that's where it's tough. Is like there's so many shows that I think fall into that anime adjacent category. So we'll have lots to talk about every episode. We'll have a new Dragon Ball ranking for an anime adjacent show. So cool. There you go, Samurai Jack. Go check it out if you grew up with it. You know how awesome it is. If you haven't watched it, it's really fun. Go check it out.
Check. I'm singing the song in my head.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in like,
and like
25
I
years.
honestly think that if as an adult, I probably wouldn't go back and enjoy too much of like the first half, but the second half, wow, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole story there to unpack.
Absolutely. All right. Do you want to wrap up by hitting up on episode 11 of our seasonal anime shows? We can we'll
Let's
just hit
start
the
with our
highlights.
favorite.
Let's start with our least favorite. I think we can all agree. Sword of the Demon Hunter is a drop. Like I couldn't even bring myself to watch episode 11. I was going through everything and I just kept putting off. I'm like, no, I want to watch Superhero X. No, I'm gonna watch Kowloon. Okay, I really don't want to watch Sword of the Demon Hunter. I'm watching the other one. So I just kept pushing it off.
Took the joy out of it.
And now at this point, I'm just like, you know what? I don't know. I think if, like Preston, you were saying before we even started, I think if I was binging it, it might be different. But man, is it hard to watch week to week.
It's moving really, really slow for what we want.
Especially when we're talking about, and I think for us, we're also putting, so this is for user, what do you want to call it? Disclaimer is that we are watching some of the stuff a little bit more compressed timeline than maybe others might consume.
Sure.
And so yes, that if this is the only show you're watching, cool, and maybe that scratches the itch. But when it's stacked up against these other ones, especially in this particular category with the things that I tend to gravitate towards, it's really hard to go back to.
Yeah.
There's a mature adult story here, and like I do praise it for being willing to tell a grown-up story and not just being like another like haha fighting and boobies anime, you know, like it's at least doing that, but sometimes I just want the fighting and the boobies, you know.
Yeah. Well, case in
can't
point,
disagree
all the
with you.
swords on the wall. Like I am a 12-year-old, so I'm a kid in a candy store.
Yeah.
So I do want to point out the next one. I'm going to pick Fire Force because 7 Dragon Balls, guys. The great, like just alone, the great kaiju battlefront. And so last episode, we had a giant pillar rise from the ocean representing one of the 8 pillars.
Yeah.
And they can't damage the pillar. It's plugging volcanic material in the earth from a rising up. And this giant kaiju comes out to defend the pillar, and it's walking towards the mainland. And Shinra and everyone is just going ape on this giant thing. We get Juggernaut back, which is a character from season 2.
Yeah.
He launches up like a blast of stuff at him, and it's just a fun episode. This is a Monster of the Week episode. It's a fun anime episode. Loved it the whole way through.
Yeah, pretty much nothing happens. Like you could just hear you could just hear someone say there's a giant kaiju that comes out of the water. That's the episode, guys.
Yeah.
Like nothing happened, but it was so cool to watch.
Yeah.
Fighting and shooting, and like the plot doesn't really progress at all, but visually it was really entertaining. But my question is, they keep saying like, oh, it's an infernal. Is it an infernal, or is it just like some giant titan? Because it looked like it was made out of metal. I don't think it's an infernal.
Is it trying? So here's the next question: is it something from the past so old that it's trying to defend the pillar, or trying to destroy
Like it's
whatever's
an
coming
animus?
to the pillar? Like maybe it's trying to stop another cataclysm. Like, because how do we know that the last world, the last Earth, didn't know the cataclysm was coming?
Yeah, true.
Right? We don't know that. So
Very true.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
he could be a friendly kaiju. He could be Godzilla.
Maybe. We also
Here to
get
save
back
Tokyo.
that one weird character from season 2, maybe even season 1, where his whole power is like, I love beating up weak people. That's my thing.
Yeah, he plays with Soot and Ash.
Yeah.
But he's still cool.
Yeah,
He's got weird
he does
eyes,
some
but he's cool.
Crazy attacks in this episode. That I
So
was like,
compared to Sword of the Demon Hunter, this is like 7 Dragon Balls, because I just had a blast. I watched the whole thing and I was like, oh, it's over. I was sad. I was like, this is a good anime in that moment. This is where Fire Force does its fun stuff right here. I really
it goes
like
fast
it.
and loose, and it's just kind of like, hey, doesn't get too serious with itself. Throw some punches and yeah.
Yeah, and has some sweet animation as like the one dude's doing that huge blast. You just get some cool sound effects, some great color. Shinra's flying across the city trying to get there in time. Like it just visually was pretty good. It was probably one of the better looking episodes visually this season from Fire Force.
Now,
I
I've
agree.
watched all of Kowloon up until this point, except for this episode. So I wanted you guys to give me a little bit of a spiel here because I do know this. Reiko takes boy Zhao to meet girl Zhao, and Gwen starts to figure out how Kowloon is created. So I'm cool with spoilers. Like I'm fine with that. What would you guys give this one? Like, is this a good episode?
Yes. I think Kowloon is probably the show that I like the most this season.
Yeah.
It continues to just like surprise me every single week. It continues to progress the mystery. It continues to ask new questions, make me think. And this episode's no different. We get so the previous episode, we find out like for whatever reason, when Yao Mei eats the food, she like forgets, but she finally gets to a point where she's like remembering, oh yeah, when I was in Hong Kong, everyone said the second city Kowloon was gone. Like so something's happening. And basically, as the episode goes on and they start progressing and figuring things out, we come to find out that the world only exists in the way that Kudo knows the world. So we find out in a couple of ways. The first one is he's sitting down with Gwen talking, and Gwen's like, "What's so weird? I can't understand." Like he's spilling some of the secrets of the world to Kudo, and he's like, "Yeah, I already know that. Yeah, I already know that. Yeah, I already know that." He's like, "How do you know all this stuff?" And he's like, "I don't know. It just works that way." And then he's like, and then Gwen goes like, well, one of the things I don't understand is I built a cat like sanctuary out the back of the tea house, but when I came here, it's not there. And Kudo's like, huh, I didn't know, I never knew that you did that. And then when they leave the tea house, the cat sanctuary is there. And he's like,
Okay,
wait,
so
now
this
that
makes
Kudo knows about it, it's there now.
so is it feeding off of Kudo's memories? Is that why there's a Kujaraya B or Kujaraya A?
That's what it seems to be. And then we find out because remember the friend, what was her name?
Yame? Or
No, the other one. She was like the little girl who was like
Zhao He?
Zhao He. So
Yeah.
in the last episode, there's a
Tops.
boy Zhao He and
a girl Zhao He.
Zhao He. And they're existing at the same time, and it's like, how can they exist at the same time? Because I thought when the real one comes in, the other one goes away. We come to find out, one of the girls tells Kudo like, "Oh, didn't you know that Zhao He was a girl or was a boy the whole time? We just like we kept it as a joke because you never picked up on it, so we just let you believe that she was always a girl." And as soon as he knows that, girl Zhao He disappears immediately.
Oh. So, okay, so this makes a lot more sense. So, when Kujaraya B is going to the reading store for the thriller novel she was reading,
Yeah.
Kudo had read the first one but hadn't picked up the second one, and there's a bunch of words missing out of the second one.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it gets even more interesting. When he goes to the department store to get food, what aisle is full of food? The cup of noodles aisle. The thing
Yeah,
that
'cause that's
Kudo
what
is
he eats all the
always
time.
eating. And there's hundreds of flavors of cup of noodles. The world is literally designed around him.
Yeah, it's some
Oh my
weird,
gosh.
like, I don't know if that's Hibinema Pharmaceutical, like, doing some sort of experiment or whatever. But so the way that the episode ends is basically new Zhao He or boy Zhao He or whatever is like, okay, I'm leaving, and Yao Mei decides, hey, I need to go live my best life. I can't do that while I'm here in Kowloon. I'm holding on to stuff that isn't real, and as much as I love Kujirai and like we've become great friends, like technically she doesn't exist, and I need to live my life. So I'm gonna go find out some answers, and like I'll come back for you at some point. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna take off some days of work, and I'm gonna go face my mom. Like I'm gonna go face the one thing that is holding me back. And so her and Zhao He leave, and as soon as they leave Kowloon, she turns around and it's rubble. She has lost the ability to get in there. And we found that the only way to get into Kowloon is through the feeling of regret. So because she's accepted with herself that she doesn't regret this anymore and she's going to go do it, she loses the ability to
Dude,
see
the
Kowloon.
questions, Kudo. What did you do? What did you do, Kudo? Because like, why are you stuck there? right?
Yeah,
And
he's
then
regretting something.
I don't think Kujaraya A is necessarily like, we already know she's not like just a figment of our imagination. There's something going on there.
Yeah.
But we don't know.
Zirconia.
Yeah, we just don't know what's going on.
Well, and like
This
the
is
fact that she's been able to be different from the original Kudrai, even though Kudo remembers her one way and she's still different, tells me that like there's something more going on there. Because if it was just designed around Kudo to be like exactly like his memories, it wouldn't be any different than the original Kudrai. So,
but maybe
something else is
making a
going on
city is different than making a person.
there. Right? It's
maybe
way
the-
more complex.
But he seems to have all these other people who have been made this way.
Well, yeah, but is it because he only sees them like while they're playing mahjong? He only sees this person while they're at the restaurant. Do they actually even exist, or do they only exist like it's an NPC in the game? Right?
And the little Zhao comes in to bug him in the early episodes and get a new apartment, which is what he did for her before, and he's like, another one,
yeah,
right? Like he's done it a couple times now.
yeah.
So
because you
it's-
only ever see the boss at his work, you don't see him anywhere else in the town. You only see the old men playing mahjong. You only see certain people in certain places. So it's almost, to me, it's like this is like a video game world, and he's kind of like trapped in it or something. Like it's crazy. They're all just like NPCs of his weird. Like,
So-
did you guys ever see the movie Shutter Island?
Yeah, that's what it
Yes.
seems like.
Yeah, and you know how they like, well, like spoiler if you haven't seen Shutter Island, it's like 15 years old now, but spoiler alert. Like they all kind of play along with his delusion to try and get him to come to some realization. It sort of kind of feels like that to me. It's like they're all in the right place to kind of get him to the next step. I don't know.
I
What was the one
think
with Channing Tatum? It was the same thing. Well, not the same thing, but it was to me, it's a similar premise to this, with a much more nefarious, evil kind of plot twist to it. Characters. What is it called? I'll try and remember it. Go ahead.
honestly, I think this is gonna end so crazy. It's making me want to pick up the manga. So like I'm so
Yeah. I don't
so
know
happy for it.
if there's like enough source material to do a season 2, because the way that it ended this last episode, I'm like, there's no way they're going to wrap this up by season
Yeah.
1. Because I think this is one of those strange seasons where there's 13 episodes, not 12. So we actually have 2 more of this show left. But it's even then, I'm like, I don't know how you get to a satisfying conclusion with just 48 minutes of TV.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, I don't think we're gonna get an actual answer. I think we're gonna get like a good head, like either cliffhanger or a good like nice sort of buttoned up way in case we don't get a season 2.
Well, I just hope it's not. It blink twice as the movie. I hope it's not a blink twice ending, because it's like this. You're left with this like slap in the face. Like what? Just what?
I mean, every episode seems to be ending that way. Like
Yeah.
it's so crazy.
But they're gentle slaps. They're just like teasing slaps. That was
I don't feel like it's
Wake up.
teasing anymore, because like my heartstrings have been pulled, and now I've been told that the world isn't the way I'm perceiving it, but only if I regret perceiving it, then it's real. Like
Yeah. And,
Like the-
and just kind of like a subplot, we got more of the pharmaceutical doctor guy's plot. Apparently, he was like created and went through all the like getting the tattoo and splitting his tongue to show like appreciation to the dad so that they would save his mom, and then she ended up dying anyways. And so he has all this like anger and resentment, and I think he regrets doing those things. And he's trying to get revenge, and that's why he can see Kowloon. So it's like it's such a weird. I don't know. There's a couple loose plot threads still kind of throughout that I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna see it all get tied up before the season's out.
So my
We'll
question,
have to
because
see.
like Kujaraya B seems to be like this revolving piece, and Gwen knows something, and so does Kudo. Because
Yeah, and-
what
and
does
the-
Gwen regret? That's the question.
thing that Gwen mentioned to her, he was like, stay away from the talismans, because there's all these like talismans
and
plastered
there's
onto the wall.
warnings on them. Yeah.
And I think the back of the talismans is a puzzle to explain what happened to Kujarai. And there's one scene where she puts the glasses back on, and you know how she's been seeing the memories through the glasses? She sees the old Kujarai going to this old like red light district essentially and passing something through a mail letter slot and then getting some pills back. And she's wondering if that was like the last night of her
Yeah,
life. Like
so
she OD'd or
she's-
something.
So from our prior episode, we know that she was taking sleeping pills, and the sleeping pills because she has super bad insomnia, and so the theory is that she OD'd on those, and like I don't really know like but see, here's the thing: the pharmaceutical company like destroyed all evidence of her getting those things.
Yeah.
And like, they seem to know that they were bad because they were having that side conversation about it like an episode or two ago. So I loved it. I mean I can watch episode 11, but so far up to episode 10, I mean I want to keep ranking things in Dragon Balls. That's really what I want to do.
It's been a good one.
Then out of 7 Dragon Balls, like a 5.5 Dragon Balls.
This episode. Or
Yeah.
just like because I'm like the series has been like I'm getting Shenron here.
Yeah, I think it'll be real interesting when we get to the end of the season and we all rank it, because we've all been like fairly positive on all the shows we watch, but I think that's just our nature to talk about the things we like, right? I think it's going to be interesting when we actually review. It's like I feel like my scores are going to make people be like, "Wait, I thought you liked the show." And I'll be like, "I do. That's still a good score." Like, so I'm interested to see how that all shakes out in a couple weeks.
If it ends well, like I'm gonna go for a Shenron. If it doesn't end well, I'm gonna go for panties. So or reviving Goku
panties.
Again. I don't know.
So probably he's probably dead at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
So now
go ahead.
Last one is To Be Hero X, episode 11, Road to the Crown. We get a new character, which I'm getting mad about. But
dude, this episode was pretty cool though.
It was. It actually closed in a lot of the time gaps. So we know that Mr. Stando is going on at this time. We know that Lucky Cyan escapes from the orphanage at this time.
Yeah.
We know that
The kid with the
Isol
doll.
has probably happened already, right? And so we also know that Nice is like gonna start existing here soon. Yeah. And so Queen seems to be this road to like kind of coming back to episode 1. But I will say I really like this episode. I was a little we do figure out now what it means to be Hero X. X is the top hero in the tournament.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it's crazy because we've seen in all the marketing and all the posters and the trailers and everything, this dude with the slick back hair in the suit with the X on his tie, and we've kind of all been like, who is this guy? And we finally get to see him in this episode, and he just shakes up the whole world because it's sort of building up. They're kind of like having this like girl power moment where like a couple of the female superheroes are getting really popular, which is spawning off a bunch of other women now trying to be heroes, and they're gaining more trust value, and all these management agencies are breaking off and trying to grab them. And so we've kind of, it's almost like when new tech breaks, there's usually like 2 or 3 big dogs, and then all of a sudden the new tech breaks and there's 100 different companies going after the thing. It's kind of that vibe with all these like talent agencies. And they're all trying to get their like main hero.
We get some cool heroes, like Boa was a really cool one.
Yeah.
And then Lucky Cyan gets picked up by the management agency that Queen's a part of. And we find Queen's a really young kid who burns her way through school, tries to become a hero. And then she ends up, at the end of the episode, she ends up in a tournament. And the dude with the little X on his tie, apparently he had beat Boa, which is the big rising female star.
Yeah, they've had this like rivalry the whole time. It's supposed to be this big showdown.
Yeah. And so and Queen goes to do her power, which if you've watched it, she's wearing this crazy little pilgrim hat and she tells people what to do, like step back or be silent, and they have to do what she says.
Rules.
She creates rules and order, right? And she doesn't even get to use her power. She's just flattened like immediately. It's over.
Yeah, this dude just comes up and literally snaps, and
do you think?
she's out.
This is the part that I've been kind of like, okay, I want to speculate on his power because, and we can say that probably for later, but my brain keeps going to casinos and gambling and other things because of the intro and the way that they're doing like the cards and they're pulling out like the like how he's playing with the coin across his fingers.
I was doing like a Black Clover moment. Maybe he has like an anti ability, like he's not
an anti ability, yeah.
Like he just reverses whatever they're gonna do. It's like a reverse.
Interesting. I kind of wonder, and this is a huge stretch. Like I don't have tons of evidence backing this up or anything. My main thing that makes me think that is because of how often the animation style changes in episodes, I'm almost wondering if his ability is the power to like change reality, and he can just be like a normal, like basically a normal guy, and he's like, I'm changing reality in this instance where I'm the winner of this outcome, and he just snaps his fingers and now that's him.
What if, and that this is again going with that same thread, I'm going to go yes and with it. What if that like look at the episodes. So in when we're talking about timeline, right? When we're in Nice's timeline, it switches all the time.
Yeah.
But before that, it didn't switch very often and less, right? Like it was there, but it wasn't quite as much.
Yeah, with Lucky Cyan and up into the road to
I
the
wonder if the
crown, there's
next
no
ones
changes.
we're going to see it go wild, like Dallin's saying, where it's like he's fudging with reality or potentialities or something.
Well,
Yeah.
and then also we see that second power, fear, at the end of the episode with Boa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Boa says it's her father, right? And so
Yeah, she's talking about Queen.
now, is it Queen's father, the one
It's
that beat
Queen's
everyone?
dad. So Queen's. So if you watch the Lucky Cyan, the one that found her and brought her to the orphanage, is Queen's dad. It's the same guy, and he's the guy that seems to be like, what do you want to call it? Like almost like the headhunter. That's like bringing the connections together.
Right.
And then she has that realization. She's like, wait, they're related. And so I'm assuming that's the relationship that they're talking about, but it could be a red herring or like one of those ones where they're like, oh, haha, just kidding. We made you think this, but it's actually this.
But Queen's hair is white,
Oh.
and so is 2B Hero X's hair.
Oh.
That
That
and,
too. I didn't think of that.
And
I
so
didn't
like
think of that.
I'm also wondering too, like there was that thing like embrace fear, where that dude was shouting out in front of the news agency that, and both the reporter, the dad of Queen, and the head honcho of the management agency both knew about it before everyone else did, and they were talking about it behind the scenes. So I think when this ends, we're going to get a little taste of fear and kind of what that is, because I think because it was bubbling up around Boa and she got that notification, and I think that's fear like leaching to her. So
That's similar to what happened to the orphanage too, right? Like it wasn't quite exactly the same, but it was similar where it was like attaching to people and like impacting them. So it'll be interesting to see. And I wonder with going with the yes ands if she's referring to the Hero X that's currently Hero X with the slick back hair.
why didn't Queen know him?
Is Queen, but like because if the other guy was the guardian for a short term for not Clover,
Cyan?
Lucky
Yeah.
Cyan, and maybe he's just a guardian to her, and maybe
Is their real
he's like
parents related?
he's like, hey, I'm the inventor of this whole like social paradox thing. I don't want you to undo my stuff. Shut up and sit down. Wonder if it's something like that.
Well, yeah. Is it like going to be like The Boys, where you have what is it, Storm something like?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
When they find out that she's a Nazi and
she'll create the superheroes.
yeah.
So I honestly can't wait to see where
I'm excited.
I don't think like I'll wait for review day for this, but like 2B Hero
well,
X
this one's going to be weird to review because it's a 2-core season, and with what's coming out in the summer, I don't know that like we'll continue watching as a podcast for summer. Like I'm sure we'll all watch it on our own, but like I don't know that we'll commit to another 12 for summer. So it'll be like reviewing it halfway through, which is like I don't love doing, but at the same time, like we need to review what we have seen up to this point. And so I think we can give a fair assumption review, but like with the little asterisks that this could change depending on how the next 12 episodes go. 2-core shows are they're tough. I wish as much as I enjoy them, I wish that they would just do them as 2 seasons. It's so much less confusing for fans, especially new fans. They're like, wait, I gotta watch season 2, core 2, part 1 of the
OVA
final whatever. Yeah,
+5.
OVA, like it's just too much. Like just make it more simple.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I just kind of watch it as it comes out.
We're gonna have 2B Hero X Brotherhood.
Yeah.
2B Hero X, the final part, chapter 4, The Reckoning, Dead Awakening, Attack on Titan, final part.
Sort of the Demon Hunter Brotherhood.
That's funny because I'm like thinking now. I'm thinking about Attack on Titan's ending, and I'm like, oh god, that took forever.
Yeah, and there's like a billion. Like I never even know where like what they called the ending, because they called the ending like 7 different things,
Yeah.
7 different times.
The
So I'm
final
like,
season. The final
the
season.
final season part 1, the final season part 1, core 2.
They did like
No, I
these
need that
huge
crap.
movies, and it took me forever to figure out what was going on. Because I was
like
like, can you
Evil
just
Eye.
end it? Like, can you just?
Speaking of movies, Evil Eye, that's the Dawn to Dawn first 3 episodes.
When we go in.
They're out now in the movie theater.
Not
so.
sponsored, but if they wanted to.
Yeah, I just saw a post today. G Kids, the kind of distributor for the West for the show, posted that they did 5 million in sales on their weekend for tickets, which isn't a lot. I'll
Not
be
bad.
granted, but for an anime, like that's
Good for
crazy.
an anime.
And it's not a movie; it's just the first 3 episodes of season 2.
Especially for an anime that is polarizing in the
Yeah.
sense that, like, I watched it with my wife and she's like, I can't. It's weird. It's too weird. And then I'm like, well, you married me. And I'm like, but weird to an 11. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think my wife would
Oh.
watch that one with me.
Yeah, I don't think my wife would either. She would probably watch 5 seconds and go, "What the hell, man?
What is
Just
wrong
like-
with you? And I'm like, I'm a 12-year-old boy inside, okay?
Yeah, for sure. As soon as he was like, "I want to gobble your banana," she'd be like, "I'm out."
Dude, I think that was the thing. That was so uncomfortable.
It's just like, what?
I had to like literally suspend that moment and be like, okay, that
Yeah.
happened in that episode.
Now,
I need-
Dallin said this was a really good show. I
Keep
gotta give it
watching.
another episode.
That's a really hard part to get past. If you're not ready for that, like that was just like,
Yeah.
whoa, dude.
Yep.
But also
Absolutely.
knowing Japanese urban legends, like those,
Yeah.
they just
Yeah.
like they're weird. Urban legends
Yep.
are weird.
And they're always in tunnels. So there you go.
Things we
All right,
don't
so
have in the
next-
West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next episode, we are going to give our reviews of the shows that do wrap up, or that have hit an episode 12 where we can call it a clean break. We're going to start looking at reading some synopsises, maybe watching some trailers for the summer season and start getting an idea of what's coming out, because that's right around the corner. Episode 1 of some of these shows is airing next week, guys. It's already here. It is upon us. So it goes fast. That's the thing with anime. It never ends. As soon as you end one season, you're immediately right into the next one. So we'll start looking at things that are interesting to us, things that have maybe caught our eye, things we want to keep an eye on. We'll talk about that. And yeah, I'm really excited. Summer, for me, is always one of the best anime seasons. It seems like they kind of save all the good stuff for when they know all the kids are going to be home, and then they just hit them with them. So we got some
Kaiju
good stuff
number
in
8,
store.
season 2, Dan to Dan, season 2.
Yes.
Good one.
I think Kaiju number 8 season
Yeah,
2
Kaiju number
as
8,
well.
yep.
Like there's a lot of
Sakamoto
season 2.
Dude, Kaiju number 8 was so good. Like so good. Loved it. Every
Yeah.
minute of Kaiju number 8.
So there's a lot to look forward to, and we will get into all of that next time on Dad-ime. So be sure to join us next week. Until then, I'm Dallin, got Tyler and Preston, and we'll see you next time.